You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Kathy just back from the hospital, which we will talk about later in the podcast because crazy things happen with Kathy in the hospital.
It's never boring.
No, we had a crazy thing happen in the hospital, but we'll talk about that later in the show. We had something happen that I've never experienced in any hospital setting ever. Very strange. We'll get to that in a little bit. Well, CNN's having a complete meltdown, okay? And they've got this really pathetic Fox News debate on Wednesday night that is going to be the most uneventful presidential debate in history because the front runner, Donald Trump, is not there. And Fox News is trying to create all kinds of things. But when you see these wannabe Republican grifters tell you that Trump is not electable, wait till you hear what CNN has, okay? CNN's having a complete meltdown today. I want to play this audio for you in a moment. If Donald Trump were not electable, they wouldn't have him indicted more times than El Chapo all over the country, okay? We got some major updates on that, too, we're going to get to. But listen to this. This is the panic today on CNN.
Trump's lead is even larger. So these are three polls that were out over the last week. Look at these leads for Donald Trump. He's at 62% of the CBS News YouGov poll. 57% in Quinnipiac University, 53% in the Fox News poll. Look at where DeSantis is in all these polls. Look how far back he is. He doesn't crack 20% in any of them. So in Iowa, you have that 20-plus point lead for Donald Trump. That's actually smaller than the lead we see nationally, where we see these leads of 35, 40, near 50 points in this particular case. Of course, the primary is one thing. If Trump wins the primary, can he go on and win the general election? And we've had three polls that have come out over the last week here. And I want you to take a look at how close this race is at this particular point. Granted, the general election is over a year away. The largest lead for Joe Biden is just 3 points within the margin of error. No clear leader. Look at these. 1 point, 1 point. If you go back at where we were at this point 4 years ago, Joe Biden's lead was high single digits to low double digits. This is significantly closer than where we were 4 years ago. So this idea that Donald Trump can't win the general election, I want you to lose that idea. This race is very, very close, and Donald Trump is polling better right now than basically at any point during the entire 2020 cycle.
After four indictments.
After four indictments. It just doesn't really seem to matter.
That's fascinating.
That is CNN.
You know what they don't understand real quick? I'll just make this observation. I just realize this. It's not just about Trump and that people realize he's getting railroaded, his popularity. It's also people reacting to the swamp and the deep state. Yeah. This is the American people uniting and coming together to support this man because they see how corrupt the government is and they see what's happening with this and they're not happy about it. But these liberal elitists, they don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit on CNN, you know what? Maybe we have gone too far. Maybe the American people are fed up with what's happening here. It's not just about Trump. It's about what they're doing to Trump. And people see that it's unfair. It's not right. And that's also why he's gaining in popularity.
And, you know, this whole thing with DeSantis over the weekend calling us Trump supporters listless vessels, and that if you can be as conservative as can be, but if you don't stand behind Trump, you're considered a rhino. That's true, because all these other people, no matter how conservative they claim to be, if they're not behind Trump, they're with the deep state and the uniparty against Trump, which means they are in favor of all this. Look at these four indictments are so ridiculous, right? So ridiculous. There's a lot of other things they're doing, but those four indictments are so ridiculous. And DeSantis is talking about these uber conservative Republicans that we're calling rhinos. How many of them are standing up against this injustice and weaponization of the Justice Department and our legal system? So if you're not with Trump, supporting him against these indictments and everything else, you are with the swamp. I don't care how conservative you say you are, or maybe your voting record may be. You're in, and that's how people view you. If you're not with Trump, you're with the swamp. And what you said is right, Kathy. People see what the government has been doing to Donald Trump, not just these 4 indictments, everything they've been doing to him all these years.
Yeah. It's scaring them. It's scaring them.
Yeah, well, people have realized, hey, this is not a free country.
No.
This country is controlled by the deep state, donors, China, and we don't like it. And these people in Washington just can't get themselves to accept that.
No.
And Trump's popularity, it's more than just like the border, inflation, all that. That's all important. But I think Trump's he has higher poll numbers now than he's ever had. In the Republican primary, he's like at 67 today in one of the new polls. 46-point lead over the number 2, which is DeSantis, who's like at 16 or something like that, something really low. And the reason he's polling higher than ever is because so many people have woken up to the oppression he's going through by the government, and the country's not free.
Yeah,
and
even people that
might
not have loved him are seeing that, and I think it's frightening them.
It should. It is frightening. It is frightening. Yeah, and the more they do this, the more popular he's going to come. Now, there's some big stuff came out today in a variety of things. Now, this started actually a couple weeks ago, but it's becoming more real now. A judge in Pennsylvania ruled that there is presidential immunity, that presidents cannot be prosecuted, and this goes for both civil and criminal charges, for things they do while they're president. It's called presidential immunity. And they're saying that this covers President Trump. You know, there's a lot of weird things we're hearing now because no one has prosecuted a president before. So there's a lot of things in the law that I don't think anybody realized were there. And this is one of them, presidential immunity, which means he can't be sued or prosecuted for any of these things. Everything they're going after him for are things he did or said. Well, he didn't do anything, but things that they claim he did, I should say, while he was president. And whether or not he did them or not, which he didn't do, the presidential immunity applies. And Mark Meadows, this is an interesting thing. Mark Meadows, who's part of this Black Panther County, that's what I call Fulton County, Black Panther County. This Fulton County, Black Panther County group in Georgia that they're rounding up. One of them is Mark Meadows. And Mark Meadows has been moving to try to get this taken out of the state court and put in the federal court. And apparently, see, this is new to me. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know about this stuff. But there's a lot of lawyers on TV and a lot of people are doing analysis. And it turns out that local courts cannot prosecute people in the executive branch. And it has a lot to do with the separation of powers between state and federal government, that if the state officials could prosecute people in the executive branch, they could have power over the federal government. And apparently this has happened before. And with what Mark Meadows is doing, which will apply to Trump and all these other people too that are being indicted around Trump, there have been cases where people from the executive branch have been charged locally and then they've been transferred to the federal courts, and the federal courts in every instance has dismissed the cases. So there's more legal precedent for all this stuff than we realize. So this Fulton County case may end before it even begins.
That would be great. I think there's a lot that's going to unfold.
Oh, yeah.
Over the next year that'll be very interesting, and I think things will definitely work out in Trump's favor in the end. I think we all have that faith.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why most people aren't terribly worried, because I think they know that this is all ridiculous and the truth will come out. I mean, they don't care about the will of the people. His popularity is growing. The people want him to run. They want him to be president. But they're trying everything to stop the will of the people. And that's why when Trump said, they're not doing it to me, they're doing it to you.
Mm-hmm.
What he means by that is they're stopping your will and what
That's
you
right.
want the direction of the country to be, and they're trying to intercede
Mm-hmm.
and prevent that from happening. And that's not their right to do that.
And they think they're saving us from ourselves, that we're too stupid to know how bad Trump is.
Always, definitely.
So they feel totally justified in what it is that they're doing. But, the one thing, though, that has me worried is that a lot of people have been doing a lot of crimes, from the spy operation on Trump Tower to what's going on right now. And Trump's going to be coming after these people in his second term. So they're going to double down
for sure.
on trying to keep him out of power. If they did not think he was going to win, they wouldn't be doing all these things, because these 4 indictments are overkill. Now, even though there's presidential immunity, what happens on Friday is an unknown, right? We don't know what's going to happen. So Friday is the deadline, according to Fulton County, Fannie Willis, for Trump and the others, Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and the rest.
I think what they should do is they should all go together. This is a time for them to unite and go and do this all together, and not, Jenna Ellis won't do this because she's a big coward, but they should not let them divide them and try to pit them against each other. They should go together, show up together. And I think if the American people see 20 people here being fingerprinted and mugshot and having mugshots, I would hope they would think this is a travesty. And Trump's going to go. He obeys the law. That's what he does. He's going to go and do all that he has to do.
He hasn't challenged any of these.
No, he's going to do what he has to do because he steps up to the plate and he's not afraid. But I think they should all go there united.
So we just got an update from Mark Meadows, okay? This is in the Hill. In fact, if you might have heard a little ding in the background, I just got a notification on my phone that this story just came out on the Hill. Mark Meadows, who served as President Trump's White House chief of staff, is urging a judge to dismiss criminal charges brought against him last week alongside President Trump. Meadows insists he is immune from Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis's prosecution because the allegations are connected to his role as a federal official. Meadows was indicted alongside Trump and 17 others last week in a racketeering indictment. After the indictment was filed, Meadows quickly began an attempt to move his case from state to federal court. Over the weekend, his attorneys went a step further and asked the judge weighing that attempted move to dismiss the charges against Meadows entirely.
What if they all collectively, at least him and Trump and the people that were federal employees, decided not to show up? What would happen? Would they issue arrest warrants?
Yes.
That's nuts.
Yeah. As a federal official at the time of the charged conduct, this is what Meadows' attorney says, he is immune from state prosecution under the supremacy clause of the federal Constitution. That's the United States Constitution. I've never heard it referred to as the federal Constitution before, but that's the U.S. Constitution. This is what Meadows' attorney said. Mark Meadows insisted he has immunity because the allegations, which include organizing calls between Georgia officials and Trump, as well as meeting with Michigan lawmakers, were part of his function as White House chief of staff and complied with federal law. The conduct charged here falls squarely within the scope of Mr. Meadows' duty as chief of staff and the federal policy underlying that role, Meadows' attorney wrote. Now, all of them are not federal employees because some of them are like Trump attorneys, okay? But Trump was a federal employee. So if this judge tosses this out with Mark Meadows, what's next is the Trump charge. Now, over the weekend, Kathy went into the hospital, and we'll talk more about it later in the show because I want to tell people what happened. But I had to take you to the emergency room. You knew you were getting admitted because you would talk to your doctor. This was Thursday last week. And we had to pack up all your stuff because you were getting admitted to the hospital. And I remember you had told me, and there's a lot that you have to take to the hospital with you when you're getting admitted, right? And you made sure, Kathy, to get your My Pillow because you can't sleep on the hospital pillows.
The last time I went, I forgot it. And the first night, the hospital pillows are horrible.
Well, yeah.
And I did not sleep very well. You brought me the My Pillow the next day, but that was like the first thing I grabbed.
Well, all pillows other than the My Pillows are uncomfortable, especially hospital pillows. And the one that we grabbed for you to take to the hospital is the My Pillow 20th anniversary limited edition pillow which is just $19.98 right now. Now, this is the one that has the cover with the Giza cotton on the cover and the piping around it. It's
the Elegance pillow.
It's the Giza Elegance pillow.
I love them.
And
they're bigger. They're nice and big.
Yeah, it's a big pillow, and we also had it inside of the MyPillow Giza cotton pillowcase.
Yes.
And right now it's in the washer.
And I got to tell you, I slept much better at the hospital than I would have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I really slept pretty good.
You wouldn't have had any sleep. So right now it's in the washing machine, both the cover, the pillowcase, and the MyPillow, because it was in the hospital. We want to clean it. But,
yes.
The MyPillows are machine washable and dryable. And when we get it out of the dryer, it's going to be like new. The MyPillow 20th anniversary Giza pillow is just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. It's a great deal. And all of the MyPillows are great. This one is the more upscale, like luxury MyPillow. This is the kind you would have like at Trump Tower or Trump Resort or something. But remember, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, not just the ones that we talk about. But these MyPillows are so great. Kathy can't leave home without it. And I bring MyPillows with me when I go on the cruise, one for me and one for our daughter. When we do our cruise, I bring MyPillows. And
we keep a couple on the couch when we lay out there to watch TV.
That's right. We have them all over the place.
Yeah, and then you definitely, Emily has the one for the plane.
That's right, the travel pillow.
She has one time she forgot it and she was very upset. She said, "I could not sleep." I mean, she loves those pillows.
She has the MyPillow neck pillow that she wears on the planes.
Yeah, we sent her some for her new apartment.
And on the cruise, they have. I usually travel in the concierge class, which is not the suites, by the way.
I'm sure they have nice pillows
there.
Well,
it's not just that they have nice pillows; they have a pillow menu on the cruise ship.
Wow.
And they have all these different pillows that are supposedly the finest pillows in the world. Right. And I find it so funny because they always the concierge will come to me and he's like, "Oh, would you like to look over the pillow menu?" And I was like, "No, I've got my MyPillow.
Got your MyPillow.
And I don't need the pillow menu."
I'm telling you, once you sleep on them, no other pillow
won't
work for you.
No.
Honestly.
No. And last time you were in the hospital, you left the pillow. You forgot the pillow.
One time I did leave the pillow there.
And that's okay because the deals are so good on the MyPillow. So the Giza pillow, which is also the MyPillow 20th anniversary pillow, just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout. Kane.
Parents and grandparents, are you looking for the perfect children's gift for Christmas, a birthday, or any other occasion? Then check out the great STEM toy, B-Blocks Building Blocks, available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. The B-Blocks Building Blocks come in 2 sets, one with 250 pieces, the other with 500 pieces. The more you have, the more you can create. B-Blocks Building Blocks will ignite your little one's creativity. They'll discover a world of colors, shapes, and designs. They'll learn, play, and create with the 8 vibrant colors, and it's educational too. From enhancing motor skills to exploring basic geometry, as well as architecture, B-Blocks Building Blocks isn't just fun, but it's a powerful learning tool. And guess what? They click securely together. The B-Blocks Building Block set stands out. It's perfect for both boys and girls. It's a gift that they will cherish for years to come. B-Blocks Building Blocks, available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. The perfect gift for your child for any occasion. B-Blocks Building Blocks, because every child deserves the best. Available only in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search B-Blocks, B-E-B-L-O-X. Order yours right now. The new book from author William Thien is now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip. In The Dream Chip, meet David O'Rourke, an intelligence agent turned uploader for the TimeLink Corporation, a futuristic technology company. His mission, capture the thoughts and memories of the deceased and store them in the Will of Memories, a protected vault of supercomputers. But there's more to the TimeLink Corporation than meets the eye. They're also the creator of the Common Council software program, which empowers citizens to have a say in government decisions. This revolutionary system threatens the power of a group known as the Civocrats, who are determined to maintain their control at any cost. As tensions rise, their leader organizes a mob to attack the TimeLink Corporation. The fate of the future is hanging in the balance. The Dream Chip takes you on an adventure filled with technology strategy, political intrigue, and the power of human memory. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip from author William Thien, and uncover the secrets that lie within. Have you thought about starting your own business? Maybe you're already in business and looking for a new opportunity. Then order your copy of How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, available online at theinterlockbook.com. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this ebook offers invaluable insights and methods to ensure your ignition interlock business flourishes while prioritizing public safety with various ignition interlock services. With How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, you'll learn how to find the right ignition interlock partners, how to decide on the best business model, and understand various types of services. You'll discover how to analyze potential service center locations, how to streamline business operations, and how to navigate the process of applying for the right business licenses. This downloadable ebook is packed with exclusive, indispensable information you will not find anywhere else. Don't wait any longer. Take advantage of the opportunity and order your copy right now. How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, online at theinterlockbook.com. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can take advantage of this opportunity too. theinterlockbook.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. So it was reported in the Daily Mail over the weekend that the Murdoch family, Rupert Murdoch in particular, asked Glenn Youngkin to jump into the race and run against Trump. They're done with DeSantis. I mean, they're just done. They're trying to get Glenn Youngkin in. And so
so are we.
Yeah, so far he's saying no because he's, I guess, not completely stupid.
No.
But you know what happens a lot of times with these people is they offer them big money, big things, and they'll do it, even though they're going to lose to be a disruptor. Like right. Chris Christie knows he's not going to be president of anything, you know. So, but he's running and he's being put up there to attack Trump.
Well, because once this is over, he's going to go into the oblivion. Well, if that's even possible for a man of his size. Wanted to read this real quick. Mediaite is reporting Vivek Ramaswamy told his allies he's running to sabotage DeSantis. I'll give you that article.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Well, that's what his allies, whoever they are.
His allies.
Are saying.
Who's that, George Soros?
That he went into sabotage DeSantis. So I don't think he needed to do that. I think DeSantis sabotaged himself plenty.
Well, what he said, I'll read this article. It says, Ramaswamy pitched himself as a candidate who could make serious waves in the Republican primary.
Well, he has shown that he can.
He said that his candidacy could dissuade Ron DeSantis. And all of this stuff.
He'll run again in 2028, I'm sure.
Ramaswamy is just he's the very fact that his graduate school scholarship was partly funded by George Soros's brother is enough to discount him forever. You know, a Soros connection is like once someone does porn. There's certain things that when people do, that's it. There's certain things you can't
Any
do.
Connection, that's not good.
You know, if someone's done porn, I don't care if it was 50 years ago. They can't, like, for example, they can't be a school teacher. Okay, there are just certain things that once you cross that line, you there's no going back. And a Soros connection is one of those. And you know, let me play this for you. Did you see this thing with Taylor Swift?
No,
I wasn't going to play this, but since you brought up that article with Ramaswamy, who's behind, who is backed by Soros, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, another thing about Ramaswamy, here's a guy in 2010 couldn't afford college, and now he's a billionaire and retired. He's not even 40, and he's got this Soros connection. I mean, come on. There's just something about this guy that is just bad news, and I'm just so sick of people pushing him forward. But since you mentioned Ramaswamy, and, you know, the Soros connection, I wanted to play this about Taylor Swift. I wasn't going to play this because I really don't care too much about Taylor Swift, but it seems so strange. It's the Soros connection that Taylor Swift has. It's hard to believe. This is just bizarre. Let me play this for you.
After I was denied the chance to purchase my music outright, my entire catalog, was sold to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings in a deal that I'm told was funded by the Soros family, 23 Capital, and the Carlyle Group. Yet, to this day, none of these investors have ever bothered to contact me or my team directly to perform their due diligence on their investment in me, to ask how I might feel about the new owner of my art, the music I wrote, the videos I created, photos of me, my handwriting, my album designs. And of course, Scooter never contacted me or my team to discuss it prior to the sale or even when it was announced. I'm fairly certain he knew exactly how I would feel about it, though. And let me just say that the definition of the toxic male privilege in our industry is people saying, but he's always been nice to me when I'm raising valid concerns about artists and their rights to own their music. And of course he's nice to you if you're in this room.
Okay, so toxic masculinity. I don't even know if that's real. I've seen this on Twitter all day today, and the only reason I played it is because the
why
Soros
is it on
connection.
Twitter today all of a sudden? That was a while ago.
I don't know. I don't know why it's on, and I've never seen it because listen, I don't follow Taylor Swift. I don't know. I don't care about Taylor Swift. I just thought it was so strange that the Soros family got in on the deal to buy her music.
She's a known man hater, and
and
her music is very misandrous, and she's dates men to use them for her music to write about. But she's acting like women don't make deals that women don't screw people over either.
Yeah.
She said this is the example of an entitled male. Women do things like this too in business and in Hollywood. They screw people over. She didn't own her music. Somebody else owned it. They had every right to sell it. Boo-hoo. That's business. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're worth $1 billion. You can go buy whatever the hell you want.
Okay, so I want to talk here about Mark Levin. I used to be a big fan of Mark Levin before he was a never Trumper in the first campaign, okay? I don't listen to a lot of other shows, but I used to listen to Mark Levin a few times a week. He was on at night, and I would listen to him the next day sometimes in the car or stuff like that, or on the weekends doing work around the house. I'd listen to him, like as his podcast. And then he became this never Trumper, and I was done with him, okay? And I know he's in the Trump fold now, and he says good things about Trump, but I don't trust this guy.
No.
And he did an interview a few weeks back with Ron DeSantis. I don't watch Mark Levin on Fox. First off, even if I wasn't boycotting Fox, I wouldn't be watching Mark Levin on Fox. I think that Sunday night show is terminal.
Yeah, my mom
so boring.
Watches him, and my dad, they still watch it.
A lot of people love that show.
I've seen it a couple times, and I just don't like him.
A lot of people love that show. Steve loves that show.
Maybe it's just older people.
I don't know. I got calls on the show this morning from 2 or 3 people who said, "Oh, did you see Levin last night?"
I think he's a big blowhard. I'm not into him at all.
I'm not really into him either. I don't enjoy I'm talking about his television show. I haven't listened to his radio show since he was a never Trumper. I've never gone back. And I have a saying, never trust a never Trumper. Right. Well, a few weeks back, he interviewed Ron DeSantis for his radio show. And I didn't hear the interview when it happened, but I got some calls from people that said he gave him a free ride, that he's not with Trump. You should listen to it. And I listened to the entire interview. It was about 20, 25 minutes long. He did not ask Ron DeSantis one difficult question at all. It was like Ron DeSantis was being interviewed by his campaign manager.
Right.
He didn't, for example, it is very relevant to bring up to Ron DeSantis, which Levin didn't, about how far behind he is in the polls in Florida. There has not been a Florida poll in months. And in the last polls, Trump was like 30 points ahead in the last poll. That was months ago, before the most recent indictments came down, months ago. Okay? And it was just an awful interview because he didn't ask him any tough questions.
Right.
And I know Trump likes Mark Levin and says positive things about Mark Levin. Okay, I mean, maybe Trump's just using him. Maybe Mark Levin's a useful idiot.
It worries me.
I don't know
that he's a lawyer and giving him legal advice, and is Trump taking his advice?
I don't know. But when I heard that interview that Mark Levin did with Ron DeSantis, I was like, see, I was right. Never trust a never Trumper. Yep. You can never trust a never Trumper. So then over the weekend, when DeSantis came out calling Trump supporters listless vessels, which I don't even know if that phrase makes sense.
Listless means like low energy, lack of enthusiasm, which makes no sense to me.
Makes no sense,
because we're full of enthusiasm.
What I think what he means is like Trump zombies or something, like we're just stupid deadheads who are in a cult.
Or that we just follow along without any direction, or we just go with whatever Trump says. I think that's what he meant, but whatever.
And Mark Levin has responded to this. This is why I'm building up to this, and I'll share with you what Mark Levin said in just a moment. But the majority of the Republican voter base, the vast majority of the Republican voter base is with Donald Trump. That's why Donald Trump is like at 67% in the latest poll today, okay? So these other grifters that are running against Trump, they're the ones with the cult following. In the world of entertainment, like Star Trek, okay? I'm a big Star Trek fan, X-Files fan. Star Trek and the X-Files, you may have heard it referred to as they have a cult following. And what that means is that's a very polite way of saying a small following. A cult following doesn't mean you got a bunch of Jim Jones followers ready to drink the Kool-Aid. A cult following means you have a small following.
I think it can mean either.
It could mean both. But if you want to talk about a true cult following, that's these supporters that those running against Trump in the Republican primary have. It's very small.
I agree. I think the Never Trumpers are the cult following.
Yeah, the Never Trumpers are the cult following, not those of us who support Trump.
If you mean cult in that term, if he means when people call us, they weren't a cult, they're thinking the Jim Jones type. But when you're talking about a cult following, like as far as like a small following, I think that would pertain to the Never Trumpers. They're not the majority by far. They're a small group of people that are probably more Democratic than anything. Mm-hmm. And I think DeSantis, what happened is that memo came out and he was embarrassed.
He should.
And the memo said to defend Trump. So he went out and did an interview attacking Trump and attacking us. Well, he's done. I mean, he will never, ever, ever have the support of MAGA again. And I don't know what he's thinking.
Well, if you're like Ron DeSantis and you think the whole world is crazy and you're the sane one, that probably means you're the crazy one.
Yeah, probably.
Okay? So this listless vessel thing is awesome because DeSantis yet again exposed himself. And people, of course, our MAGA brothers and sisters.
We have T-shirts, by the way. We did not miss that boat. If you go to our
That's true.
T-shirt shop, you can see the link in the YouTube and on the website. We have 2 new T-shirt designs that I did last night that are up. I ordered Brian a couple that reference the listless vessels. Yeah.
So everyone, all of our MAGA brothers and sisters are talking about this just disgusting thing with Ron DeSantis. And Mark Levin responded, and he's defending Ron DeSantis.
Of course.
And this is what he tweeted. Wow. I'm all for the rough and tumble of politics, but when our folks act like left-wing media and literally lie about what DeSantis said, that's not a good look or good practice. Stick to the truth and the issues, or the enemy will win. Well, he said what he said. It was said in anger. And I'm going to pull it up actually here and play. I was not going to play this on the podcast, but because of Mark Levin and his outrageous comments there, I want to play it. And, he said what he said. It's said with anger and disgust towards us.
Absolutely.
And
total disdain.
And it's very clear. Let me play it. This is the long form version of it. The reason I'm playing the longer version is because I don't want someone like Mark Levin to say, well, you did editing on that and you missed the context. So I'm playing a little bit more than just the drop so you can hear the full context. He hates MAGA supporters. He hates us. And for that matter, Florida is the most MAGA state in America. That means he hates the people of his own state, right? Because this is the MAGA capital of the world, Florida. All right, so listen to this. This is DeSantis and what he said.
We have a strand in our party that views supporting Trump as whether you
are... Right, what he said there. He said we have a strand in our party.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's making it seem like we're in the minority here. We have a strand in our party. No, he's the strand.
We're the majority
in the
by
party.
Far. Yeah.
He's the strand.
Yeah.
Not us. We're 70% more for Trump. He's the strand.
That's right.
Just be clear on that.
That's right.
We have a strand in our party that views supporting Trump as whether you are a rhino or not. And so you could be the most conservative person since sliced bread. Unless you're kissing his rear end, they will somehow call you a rhino. So it's been totally detached from principle and what you actually believe and results. And it's more about, just what faction you happen to do. So there'll be people who are huge Trump supporters, like in Congress, who have like incredibly liberal left-wing records that's really just atrocious. And yet they're viewed as by some of these folks as like really, really good. Then you have other people, like a Congressman Chip Roy, who's endorsed me, Congressman Thomas Massey. These guys have records of principle fighting the swamp that are second to none. And yet they will be attacked by some of these people and called rhinos. So it's just been totally detached from any type of substance. And ultimately, a movement can't be about the personality of one individual. The movement has got to be about what are you trying to achieve on behalf of the American people. And that's got to be based in principle, because if you're not rooted in principle, if all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
Okay.
So he's saying we have no principles.
We have no principles.
What
and
a-hole.
you can hear the anger.
I mean, honestly, what an absolute arrogant.
Oh, yeah.
We are the listless vessels that got him elected in this state. What a piece of garbage. What an ungrateful, no humility, no sense of gratitude in his voice at all. It's complete disgust and disdain for this is how the elites are. And because he went to one of those schools. And I think they're taught that in these schools. I really do. Harvard, Yale. Yeah. They're taught that you're better than everybody else. The average American is stupid. They don't know what they're doing, and you need to lead them on a leash. And what a disgusting thing for him to say.
Yeah, now I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you all. And, of course, there are a lot of perks to becoming a Patreon supporter, including, but not limited to, having access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. Kath and I put a lot of exclusive content that we do not post anywhere else on our Patreon page, available to Patreon supporters only. We also have exclusive videos that we put on our Patreon page. And, of course, the top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P., Carlos, Paulette, John, and Arctic Fox. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thanks so much. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter of the program, there's a link in the episode description on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Now, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, we'll talk about what happened with Kathy over the weekend, because I know people have been asking us, and I told everybody this morning I would talk about it on the podcast. We'll fill you in on Kathy's visit to the hospital over the weekend right after this.
Step into the exciting world of boxing history with the book Rivals in the Ring, 15 Greatest Boxing Rivalries of All Time, from author Andrew Dalziel, available on Amazon. In Rivals in the Ring, witness the fierce intensity and emotional drama that defined boxing's most legendary rivalries. You'll feel the adrenaline as these titans clashed, both in and out of the ring, leaving nothing but pure passion in their wake. You'll learn about the harsh realities of boxing. Some battles led to life-changing injuries and tragic losses, reminding us of the sacrifices these warriors made in the name of greatness. When you read Rivals in the Ring, you'll embrace the evolution of boxing as it intersects with medical advancements, ensuring the safety and well-being of today's fighters. This must-read book sheds light on the sport's transformation and its impact on the lives of fighters. Rivals in the Ring uncovers some of boxing's most noble moments over the past 120 years, while also tackling the challenging aspects that test boxing's integrity. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Rivals in the Ring, 15 Greatest Boxing Rivalries of All Time, from author Andrew Dalziel. Are you searching for exceptional and captivating artwork for your space? Look no further than Canvas Crafts Gallery on Etsy. At Canvas Crafts Gallery, you'll discover an array of astonishing digital art that's available as posters, canvases, acrylic prints, aluminum prints, phone cases, and more. From cat lovers to 80s enthusiasts, science fiction buffs to animal lovers, Canvas Crafts Gallery has something for everyone. Experience the allure of original art that's a perfect fit for your home, office, or anywhere else. Visit Canvas Crafts Gallery on Etsy right now at etsy.com/shop/Canvas Crafts Gallery. Browse the collection. You will be impressed. Etsy.com/shop/Canvas Crafts Gallery. You'll find great gifts too. Start shopping right now. Etsy.com/shop/Canvas Crafts Gallery. From author Gary L. Bausch comes the inspiring book, Never Waste a Perfectly Good Terminal Disease, available on Amazon. This heartfelt book uplifts individuals facing the challenges of Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, and anyone dealing with a serious, incurable illness or debilitating condition. Filled with hope and encouragement, it guides readers to embrace practical daily living with joy and cherish the present moment. By emphasizing the strength of faith, the book shows that hope can triumph over personal power when dealing with severe disease. Living under the protective wing of God's strength, assurance, and hope, find fulfillment and purpose even in the face of adversity. Order your copy of Never Waste a Perfectly Good Terminal Disease from author Gary L. Bausch on Amazon and discover a beacon of hope and strength for those facing life's greatest challenges.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Okay.
You're not going to believe what Brian just did.
No, don't tell them.
Oh, my God.
Let them wonder. You guys can wonder what I just did.
I just want to kill you.
Okay. So let me tell you guys what happened with Kathy over the weekend. Kathy was in the hospital over the weekend. And what had happened, we had an emergency Thursday, and it was actually during the podcast. It was the last segment of Thursday's podcast is when things happen. Now, I know a lot of you know this about Kathy. Some of you probably don't, but Kathy has a pretty serious chronic illness called pulmonary hypertension. You guys can Google it, pulmonary hypertension. And it's a pretty serious condition. And Kathy has an IV pump on the outside of her body. It's connected to a tube that goes into your chest and that goes directly into your heart, and it delivers medicine 24 hours a day through this IV. And what had happened is the catheter that goes into your chest and into your heart was infected.
Yeah.
So and you could tell when these things are infected.
That's considered an emergency because the catheter goes right into the heart. So
it could kill
if
you.
The infection spreads up the catheter, it's
right in the heart.
You get septic, and it's right in that area.
It could be deadly.
It's very dangerous.
So you called your doctor, and he says, "I'm going to admit you. Come to the hospital right now."
Yeah.
So Kathy's hospital has specialists in it, and it's kind of far from our house. It's over an hour each way to get to the hospital because she goes to special doctors at a special hospital.
I'm special.
And so we had to pack up several days worth of things.
That took like an hour and a half.
Including the MyPillow. We did, which is, under $20.
It's true. I had like 5
5
bags of stuff because I knew I'd be there for a few days.
Yeah. And
I have to bring my pills, my medicine. It's a big house.
Yeah. And this was Thursday night. Yeah. And by the time you get into the hospital, it takes when you go to get admitted into a hospital through the emergency room, it takes hours and hours and hours and hours.
Oh, yeah. We got there around 9, and I didn't get a room until 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And it was
awful.
And the process is only part over. So Kathy had to have surgery to have the catheter removed. Well, they did the surgery on Friday, but what they did that was so different than anything like this I've ever seen before, because you've had this done many times over the years. You've had this illness for 27 years, or this pump. You've had this pump for 27 years.
Yeah.
So you've had a whole bunch of operations getting this catheter removed from your chest and new ones put in. But what they did that was different is they did the surgery in the hospital room. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was not. I've never seen anything like this. Usually, every other time it's a surgery. They take you into the operating room.
Yeah, it's true.
You go in. There's surgeons and
a whole team,
just like in the movies. And it's pretty involved. And I wait in the waiting room with all these other people. They sedate
you and everything.
Yeah, and I wait where everybody else is waiting while their family members are having surgery, and then the doctor comes out and tells me how it is and how it went, and then I go into the recovery room, and you're out of it because you're on anesthesia. Well, this time they said we're doing it in the hospital room. Now, I don't know if this is because of COVID. I don't know. They're COVID crazy in the hospital still. I don't know. So they're going to do this operation in the hospital room
while I'm in my hospital bed.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, that's weird. But, you had a private room. Everybody has a private room now, right? Because, they've never gone back to sharing rooms since COVID times.
Yeah. Since COVID, everybody has a private room now.
Yeah. Yeah. So
which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So two doctors come in, surgeon come in to do this, remove this catheter. And to my surprise, the doctor had me assist, not with the surgery, but with like the prep for the surgery, which was really weird. Okay. I had on the surgical gloves and everything while this was going on. And they didn't really give you anesthesia. What they do, they numbed you up. So you were awake, and they did a real surgery while I was sitting next to the bed. And I get pretty queasy when it comes to blood when we're in the hospital. Blood and stuff does not typically bother me that much, but when it's in the hospital for some reason, it makes me a little queasy.
I think that's normal.
So
to have that reaction.
Yeah. So this surgery was a real surgery. Surgeons, they had scalpels. They made multiple incisions. There was blood. I didn't say anything because you were going through this, and I didn't want to freak out.
Yeah, laying there.
And there was blood, and I look. And
I saw the blood.
I look away because I didn't want to see it, and then I can't help but look. I look over. The surgeon, their surgical gloves are completely red with blood. I'm like, are you kidding? And they've got clamps, and they got all kinds of things. And I was like, so what I did is I took out my iPhone and just started going through my my Twitter and stuff to try not to, because I was afraid that I was going to pass out.
I told you to leave.
Well, I'm going to give you support. So I was afraid I was going to pass out. And if I passed out while you were having surgery, I didn't think that would be too good for your spirits.
No, probably not.
So they did it, and obviously it turned out okay. But you got to go back in a couple weeks and have surgery again to have a new one put in.
Yeah,
because they got a temporary line.
I just seem to not be able to go a year without having some freaking operation.
Oh my goodness! And
last year I had to have colorectal surgery. Last October, that was a nightmare, and it took me months to recover. I mean, honestly, it was one of the worst things I've ever had to go through.
Yeah.
And I was like bleeding to death, literally, and it was awful.
And you're still recovering.
I mean, I just can't get a break.
Yeah,
it's really hard. And then the good thing is I'm working on switching off the catheter. There's a new pill, and my doctor's trying to transition me to that, which is going to happen this year. So I was really hoping this catheter would last until that happened, because then they're going to take the catheter out permanently, but it didn't last. It was in too long, and I had some cellulitis around it, so that had to go. So it was stressful. I had 2 procedures Friday, one in the morning, then that one in the afternoon, which was very stressful on the body. And then they have me on antibiotics, which are just kicking my ass. Honestly, I am wiped out right now. So there's so many times I do the show, I just don't like to complain, or I don't want pity, but I am like so tired. And a lot of people tell me, I can't even tell. Well, that's good, because I am like exhausted right now. I'm like struggling so hard. Not that I'm complaining.
Well, you guys can't.
But I am on heavy duty antibiotics right now. I'm like, whew.
You guys can't see this, but Kathy actually is podcasting in bed.
In my pajamas.
And I'm sitting in a chair next to the bed.
Yeah.
As we're podcasting. So I brought all our podcasting equipment into the bedroom.
It's rough.
But, man, Kathy,
it is what it is.
I was not ready for that surgery. I couldn't believe they were doing that.
Yeah, I wasn't ready either. I didn't know they were going to do it in the bed, but they were very nice, 2 doctors. They were very good vascular surgeons. This is all they do is put catheters in and out. and they were very nice the whole time. It took about 20 minutes, and it took a while. I don't want to be gross to get it out because it had been in my body for 7 years, but it's out, and he showed it to me. We got it, and that's good. So like you said, I go back in about 2 or 3 weeks after I'm done with the antibiotics, after the infection's cleared up, and get the new one put in, and then I'll have it removed again, hopefully,
and
when
then
I get off the medicine.
And then right as the surgery was about to begin, I don't know, this was not a coincidence. Somebody sent them in, but a nun came in.
I know.
And
that is so crazy.
And she was in her full nun clothes.
As soon as they were starting the surgery, a nun walked into the room.
Yeah, and
that to me was like a sign, like everything's going to be cool. And she walked in and said a prayer.
She said the Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer. Right when they were. I didn't call for her.
Yeah.
She just came in.
Yeah, and the thing about nuns,
this adorable little nun, was awesome.
Yeah, I was talking to the nun. You guys, we mentioned Kathy and I are Catholic. We have no nuns at our churches. I've never seen
one.
I've never seen it since we've been Catholic about 10 years or so. I've never seen a nun I've never had an interaction with a nun. There were no nuns around. Lots of priests.
I mean, that was just crazy. She walked in right at the beginning of my operation.
And this nun came in, and I was talking to the nun, and I said, where we live in Palm Beach. I said, there are no nuns. We have a nun shortage in Palm Beach. But what the nun told me, she did all the prayers and everything, which was nice.
I felt bad. I really didn't get to thank her because I was kind of busy.
Yeah, you're getting cut open there. But she had said that they just let them back in the hospitals.
Wow.
And, that's a really sad thing because I was thinking how many people have gone to the hospital and not gotten last rites or gotten to meet with a minister or something all these years.
They weren't even allowed to see their family members. They were like dying and not even allowed to see their family.
So it depends on where you're at. But the hospital interactions that we've had since COVID has been over is hospitals are still COVID crazy. And I don't know if that's because they're paranoid or if they get money for it. I don't know. Probably a bit of both. But when the nun told me that they just let them back in the hospital, and I was just thinking, because hospitals are where the sick people go, and people die in every hospital every day, and people are going through a lot of terrible things. And I'm just thinking, you know what? We've had how many people have died in hospitals in the last couple years and have not been able to talk to a priest or a minister or a pastor or something, and they haven't been able to have like that their last rites or or a confession or all that stuff. And that's really a terrible thing, but I'm glad they're back.
Well, me too.
I'm glad they're back. But
me too. That was nice.
But quite often, even before we were Catholic, we were Christians and religious. Okay, we were religious before we were Catholic. But regularly, because you've been in the hospital many times over the years, I've gone myself and asked for pastors and ministers and whoever the clergy are to come to the hospital room.
Yeah, I've had a few close calls.
There was one time when Kathy and I first were married. You were in the hospital, and the clergy they had a reverend, a pastor doing the rounds. And he was a guy that I knew. He was a gay minister.
Yeah.
And he used to come on the radio all the time.
Jerry, Pastor Jerry.
Yeah, Pastor Jerry. And I was like, But I'm glad that they're letting the clergy back in the hospitals. But it was kind of upsetting thinking about clergy not being in hospitals for really years.
That is upsetting.
And they're just back. So, so anyway, guys, that's what's happened.
And I want to say thank you to everybody who posted nice things in our Facebook chat group and sent me messages praying for me. I always appreciate that. It's always very humbling. And honestly, just knowing you guys are praying for me and makes me feel so much better. It really does. Mm-hmm. That's always a good thing. I always like to pray for other people as well. And I think that's what we're all here for, to help each other. And that really meant a lot to me, when you're in the hospital alone sometimes and it's scary and you see people messaging and writing things and it makes you feel good. Like, people are praying for you. And
absolutely.
That's a nice thought.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you everyone for that. Well, listen, we're all out of time for today. Now that's only part one because Kathy's got to go back in a couple weeks and have the new surgery to have the new thing put in. And that's a mess. But that's a couple weeks from now, and we'll just wait for that one. But yeah, just to back up what Kathy said, I heard from a lot of people over the weekend. A lot of people. I'm surprised how many of you have my cell phone number to text me. That was a little scary, But
I guess people like me.
I guess, but it was very nice to hear from all of you, and thanks so much. And I think that like the best kind of prayer is when you're praying for someone else other than yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because most prayers are selfish prayers,
right?
And when you're praying for other people, that's even better. All right, guys, listen, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.